Tolkien's technical books. So, for those of you who do not know, Tolkien Reading Day was started by the Tolkien Society in 2003. And they wanted a day that was informally devoted to reading from the Lord of the Rings series, or really any Tolkien. Does anybody know why they chose March 25th, other than Lord? Anybody else? Any guesses? Why would that be a significant day? It's a good guess.
The day he began writing it.
Beginning
That's what I was
That's a
told.
good guess. Lori?
March 25th coincides with the final downfall of Sauron in The Lord of the Rings. Really, happy spring, everybody.
That's correct.
Ooh, who
The
gets nerd
downfall of
points? I get
evil.
nerd points.
And rebirth into hope. So for our first annual celebration, Harrison, Laurie, Jen, and Kayleen will be reading about 10 minutes from each of the Lord of the Rings series books, and there are sections that they got to choose themselves, and I'm guessing parts that they find both dynamic, exciting, and important to them, as well as important to the story. So please enjoy some of Bjorn's honey cake if you haven't already grabbed a piece, or you can grab some on the way out, or 3.
No shame. I've got 4.
They're baked by our in-house bakers and excellent.
Like that lady right there? Jessie.
Jesse, yeah, Jesse.
I was there, it was amazing.
I
was in the room.
Nothing happens in the
Thus your
kitchen.
energy is imbued upon
I
them.
tasted one to make sure they were good.
There we go. So without further ado, to get things started, we'd like to go to the beginning of The Hobbit with Harrison. Thanks, Harrison.
Okay, so I'm going to be reading the dialogue between Smaug and Bilbo in Inside Information. Smaug. That's right. Okay. Without further ado. Without further ado, or fondue. Here we go. The sun was shining when he started, but it was dark as night in the tunnel. The light from the door, almost closed, soon faded as he went down. So silent was his going that smoke on a gentle wind could hardly have surpassed it, and he was inclined to feel a bit proud of himself as he drew near the lower door. There was only the faintest glow to be seen. Old Smaug is weary and asleep, he thought. He can't see me and he won't hear me. Cheer up, Bilbo. He had forgotten or had never heard about the dragon's sense of smell. It is also an awkward fact that they keep half an eye open, watching while they sleep, if they are suspicious. Smaug certainly looked fast asleep, almost dead in the dark, with scarcely a snore more than a whiff of unseen steam, when Bilbo peeped once more from the entrance. He was just about to step out onto the floor when he caught a sudden thin and piercing ray of red from under the drooping lid of Smaug's eye. He was only pretending to be asleep. He was watching the tunnel entrance. Hurriedly, Bilbo stepped back and blessed the luck of the ring. Then Smaug spoke. Well, thief, I smell you and I feel your air. I hear your breath. Come along, help yourself again, there's plenty to spare. But Bilbo was not quite so unlearned in dragon lore as all that, and if Smaug hoped to get him to come so easily, then he was disappointed. No thank you, O Smaug the Tremendous. I did not come for presents, I only wished to have a look at you and see if you were truly as great as the tales say. I did not believe them. Do you now? Said the dragon, somewhat flattered, even though he didn't believe a word of it. Truly, songs and tales fall utterly short of the reality, O Smaug, the chiefest and greatest of calamities, replied Bilbo. You have a nice manners for thief and a liar, said the dragon. You seem familiar with my name, but I don't seem to remember smelling you before. Who are you, and where do you come from, may I ask? You may indeed. I come from under the hill, and under the hills and over the hills my path led, and through the air I am he that walks unseen. So I well believe, said Smaug, but that's hardly your usual name. I am the clue finder, the web cutter, the stinging fly. I was chosen for the lucky number. Lovely titles, sneered the dragon, but lucky numbers don't always come off. I am he that buries his friends alive and drowns them and draws them alive again from the water. I am from the end of the bag, but no bag went over me. These don't sound credible, scoffed Smaug. I am the friend of bears and the guest of eagles. I am ring winner and luck wearer. I am barrel rider, went Bilbo, beginning to be pleased with his riddling. That's better, said Smaug, but don't let your imagination run away with you. This, of course, is the way to talk to dragons. If you don't want to reveal your proper name, which is wise, and you don't want to infuriate them by a flat refusal, which is also very wise, no dragon can resist the fascination of riddling talk and wasting time trying to understand it. There was a lot here which Smaug did not understand, and although I expect you do, since you know all about Bilbo's adventures, to which he's referring. But he thought he understood enough, and chuckled in his wicked inside. I thought so last night, he smiled to himself. Lake men, some nasty scheme of those miserable, tumbling lake men, or I am a lizard. And I have been down the way for an age, but I will soon alter that. Very well, O Barrel Rider, he said aloud. Maybe Barrel was your pony's name, or maybe not, though it was fat enough. You may walk unseen, but you did not walk all the way. Let me tell you, I ate 6 ponies last night, and I shall catch and eat all the others before long. In return for an excellent meal, I will give you one piece of good advice. Don't have more to do with dwarves than you can help. Dwarves, said Bilbo in pretend surprise. Don't talk to me, said Smaug. I know the smell and taste of dwarf. No one better. Don't tell me you can eat a dwarf-ridden pony and not know it. You'll come to a bad end, and if you go with such friends, thief, barrel rider, I don't mind if you go back and tell them so for me. But he did not tell Bilbo that there was one smell he could not make out at all. Hobbit smell. It was quite outside his experience and puzzled him mightily. I suppose you got a fair price for that cup last night, he went on. Come now, did you? Nothing at all. Well, it's just like them. And I suppose they are skulking outside, and your job to do all the dangerous work, and when you can't get it done, when I'm not looking, and then you will offer them a fair share. Don't you believe it? If you get off alive, they'll kill you, and you'll be lucky. Bilbo was now beginning to feel really uncomfortable. Whenever Smaug's roving eyes, seeking for him in the shadows, flashed across him, he trembled, and an unaccountable desire seized hold of him to rush out and reveal himself and tell the truth to Smaug. In fact, he was in grievous danger of coming under the dragon spell, but plucking up courage, he spoke again. You don't know everything, O Smaug the Mighty, said he. Not gold alone brought us hither. Ha! You admit this to us? Laughed Smaug. Why not say us 14 and be done with it, Mr. Lucky Number? I am pleased to hear that you had other business in these parts besides my gold. In that case, you might, perhaps, not altogether waste your time. I don't know if this has occurred to you that, even if you could steal the gold bit by bit, a matter of 100 years or so, you cannot get very far. Not much use on the mountainside, not much use in the forest. Bless me. Had you ever thought of the catch? A 14th share, I suppose, or something like it. Those were the terms, eh? What about the delivery? What about the cartage? What about the armed guards and the tolls? And Smaug laughed aloud. He had a wicked and wily heart, and he knew his guesses were not far out of the plans. And at the most, the plunder was meant to stop there in the town of the shore that in his young days had been called Esgaroth. You will hardly believe it, but poor Bilbo was very taken aback. So far, all his thoughts and energies had been concentrated on getting to the mountain and finding the entrance. He never bothered to wonder how the treasure was to be removed. Certainly never how any part of it might fall if his share was to be brought back all the way to Bag End Underhill. Now, a nasty suspicion began to grow in his mind. Had the dwarves forgotten this important point too? Or were they laughing in their sleeves at him all the time? This is the effect that dragon talk has on the inexperienced. Bilbo, of course, ought to have been on his guard, but Smaug had a rather overwhelming personality. I tell you, he said, in an effort to remain loyal to his friends and keep his end up, that gold was only an afterthought with us. We came over the hill and under the hill by wave and wind for revenge. Surely, O Smaug, the unnecessarily wealthy, you must realize that success has made you some bitter enemies. Then Smaug really did laugh, a devastating sound which shook Bilbo to the floor, while far up in the tunnel the dwarfs huddled together and imagined that the Hobbit had come to a sudden and nasty end. Revenge, he snorted, and the light in his eyes lit to the hall from the floor and the ceiling like scarlet lightning. Revenge? The king under the mountain is dead, and where are his kin that dare seek revenge? Girion, lord of Dale, is dead, and I have eaten his people like a wolf among sheep. Where are his sons that dare approach me? I kill where I wish, and none dare resist. I laid low the warriors of old, and their like is not in the world today. But then I was young and tender. Now I am old and strong, thief in the shadows, he gloated. My armor is like tenfold shields, my teeth are swords, my claws spears, the shock of my tail a thunderbolt, and my wings a hurricane, and my breath death.